Hello everyone, so welcome to Tanks Invest. We're talking about investing, finance, and professionalism for today's items only. The investment we're going to talk today will be ETH. First, I want to say happy Sunday, everybody. We're a great week, by the way. Respect to recording time of 11:55 a.m. on the Eastern time, almost noon basically. Respect to Ethereum's current trading $4,120, down about 0.10% so far. As you can see clearly, again, with respect to overall crypto market, it's more microly driven today, right? With selective coins being a little bit more bullish versus another, right? And you look at the high level spectrum, the key coins is kind of flat today, right? Ethereum's currently down about just 0.10%, while Bitcoin's down about 1%, Dogecoin down about 5.5%, Cardano's kind of doing the same respectively, and so is Solana. While at the same time, with respect to some key coins that you can see prominently, Algorand's up about 8% right now, Matek's up about 5.27%, while Avalanche is down right now, currently down close to 9% at the moment. So we'll dive into the technical front in a bit. Let's been looking at the news front. There isn't really anything new news that we should be really aware of. I would say it's pretty much the same, backwash type of news that we've already heard earlier this morning. But I was looking into more of a foreshadow perspective. What are some of the things or factors that we should be looking out for in terms of a timeline and a chronological perspective? So I was looking into the calendars that we should be aware of. So with respect to the CPI report that we'll be hearing a little bit more about the November 2021 timeline, we can see clearly that the next catalyst, a macro one, is going to be happening next Friday. So technically like 6 to 7 days from now on this upcoming Friday. And it's going to be released at 8:30 a.m. And we'll see how that triangulate with respect to the job numbers, consumer purchases with respect to this just past Thanksgiving and Black Friday holiday sales that should technically translate into some, surprise, hopefully, contingent on how stringent is the Wall Street expectations in comparisons to the actualized numbers coming forward. And then the other one that is another macro news driven type of affectation would be on December 14th and 15th. This is basically the FOMC meeting that we'll be hearing a little bit more from Jerome Powell before we go off to the holidays, around the quantitative tapering, around the inflationary pressure, and obviously with respect to the COVID variants, the Omicron affectation. How are we going to be triangulating or maneuvering through this murky water going forward by collaborating with the medical officials, and how we're going to see in a tactical perspective, operationally, but also in terms of what's the asset purchasing activities going forward, while triangulating with the job numbers at the same time. And if we hear any keywords again on inflationary pressure, without any optimistic verbiage layered into the announcement ahead of the Christmas holiday, that could technically translate into another correction from here, right? So right now, I'm not a predictor. I don't know the analytical numbers behind the statistics with respect to the job numbers, nor how the COVID variance is percolating going forward. But we know we saw the corrections already, right? So in a technical front, we're very, very oversold. So logically speaking, despite everybody's being fearful and panic mode is like in full on right now, we are taking the logical risk by incurring some risk exposure at the moment. So I actually advise my mom, including myself, to be incurring some risk. So she actually bought a little bit more Bitcoin. So is my sister, and so is myself, that I am expecting to buy a little bit more if we're gonna see more downturns, right? Knowing the fact that unfortunately I missed the dip during this weekend, right? But I'm also extremely happy that you guys are able to execute your orders, and you guys are relatively healthy in terms of your profitability right now. So I'm if you guys are happy, I'm happy, right? As a collective effort. So with respect to the technical fronts, let's just dive right into it. So right now I'm recording us of basically noon, exactly noon right now. We just passed 2 seconds ago. With respect to the Ethereum price level, $4,115, down about 0.23%. You can see how severe and how much of an outlier will form onto the chart, right? And right now with the 45 out of 70, we are slowly curving back up, knowing the fact that we were extremely submerged under the lava, under the magma of the Earth crust. So as we got to below Earth crust, obviously with the gravitational force, it subsequently propelled us to go upward from there. This is also an opportunity for people that have incurred leverage to get wiped out, right? And that technically, kind of replenish the market, the monetary circulations into the market, which allows us to kind of, coming back up into more of a clean slate, if you may, right? So right now you could see clearly that the market appetite's around above the 4,000 mark, right? And people are reluctant to be selling, which shows a good long-term fundamentals, right? We're building upon the architectural foundation for this asset, so that's something we appreciate. So technically, yeah, 3,450, despite the prediction, or if you even call it prediction, it's just technical speaking the truth, that it came true that we all got to execute on that order. So I'm very happy that this was the golden price that we were all hoping for. But some of the questions that we'll be hearing so far is like, are we going to see more sell-off, right? I think that's really contingent on the FOMC meeting and obviously the CPI report, right? The CPI reports come out first on the 10th, and then obviously with the FOMC meeting on the 14th and 15th, which will technically be a relatively volatile couple of days, right? I hope it's going to come out green because on the 15th is my sister and my dad's birthday at the same time. So we'll see how that will be. Would that be a positive birthday or negative birthday? But I hope it's going to be a positive one, right? Based on the verbiage right now. And respect to current level, I think it's not a terrible level to incur some risk. You did not miss the dip, let's just say, put it that way. I mean, if you got into a super steal, this was basically like, going into Macy's with everything like 80% off on that day, which doesn't really happen. Or like any department store, in case you guys don't know what Macy's is. It's basically like a department store like Harrods or Langs Crawford, if you guys are from other countries, etc., etc. So right now, it's an okay level. I think we're like at the 20% off right now, but days like hours ago, half a day ago, we were like at basically 75-80% off sale. So Black Friday seemed like to be reoccur on that specific, obviously, couple of days ago. So respect to Bitcoin right now, we're lingering on down about 1.26%. We're at the 30 out of 70, so we're still oversold. So I think right now Bitcoin is not a terrible level to buy. I don't think we will sell down even further. I think at the anywhere below 45 is relatively oversold already. We are screaming oversold. We've been depleted for a while now, ever since the sell-off from the 70K basically. So I don't see any further downsides. We might see like maybe come back down like around like 45, hover around there, but breaking below 40, that's very nonsensical, really. Basically, at least not in the near couple of weeks, right? I think that will be just way too much overreaction if we even get there. But I don't think that will actually be logical. It would basically require us to be drilling oil then, or go into the core of the earth, right, for us to get to that level. And as we even get deeper into the pressurized zone, which is like around like the 45, right, it will just immediately get bought up by people. So I think right now we're technically at the bottom, or at least 10% away from the bottom right now. So Dogecoin right now at the 1685. I think anywhere from current level to anyway, obviously we got to 1302, which was extreme lucky level for those actually got in. But I think right now it's still a dip right now at the 25 out of 70. So we extremely oversold. So these are the perfect times for you to like allocate some cash reserve to be buying the dip. Dogecoin is obviously more of a meme coin, like you said, right? But we'll see. If you are interested, I think in terms of like incurring risk, this is not a terrible level. Let's just put it that way, right? Cardano's at the 133 right now. So right now, what is the real level? Let's just zoom in real quick. We broke below 134, 135 technically. So we're basically hovering between 120 to 135, right? We're at the 29th, or basically 30 out of 70. So we like just at the oversold zone, and I think we should be reversing shortly. But obviously Cardano is a different animal right now with the legal issues that's currently percolating. But right now, if you believe in the long term, believe in that the legal issue is going to subside over time, I think it's not a terrible level to get into. Solana is at 187. Seems like more sell is coming. We're down about 8% right now. So we are basically testing around the resistance level that we formed before the whole leap up, right? So if we break this level at 182, we're gonna go down to 156, right? But 156 is relatively shallow, right? If you look at it, the real level is anywhere like 133, which I believe is still the level I would incur risk at with the 41 out of 70, right? So I think this is not a terrible level, for you to incur some risk if you believe that we do not break at the current level, but I think the likelihood will be high. So again, 133 to 113 is still good. XRP right now, that's 79. 25 out of 70, so still a dip right here. Anywhere from the current level to the 69 is still the dip for us to incur logical risk. We're very oversold right now. Polkadot right now, 27, anywhere from the current level all the way to the 25 is still the dip. So Polkadot is really, really interesting in terms of incurring risk right now. Algorand's up about 5% right now. Anywhere from the 160 to 155 would still be the logical dip for us to get into right now. 135 was just extreme steal, to be honest with you. But right now at the 46, so it's not terrible. But again, I'll wait until 160 to 155 for us to get down there. Shiba Inu is down about 3% right now. Again, right, anywhere from the 2800 all the way to 900 still the dip. Personally, for me, in my conservatism, right. In respect to MagTech is down up about 4% right now. It's not at the best level still. We are still in a relatively risky zone. So anywhere from 175, 143 would still be the logical level of frame that I would be buying at. 120 would be pretty much of a stretch at the moment. Unless you want to completely sell off from here. And it wouldn't be like in the straight shot, right? Because if we go straight shot, which we saw previously, despite that, we still didn't get to 120. So 120 is a stretch, but if we get there, that'll be a steal for you guys, right? So AVAX is at the down about 10% right now. We're touching the 81. Like we said, we predicted this. Not predicted this. I don't predict anything. I'm just speaking the technicals. Again, I'm not a wizard. 81 to 60 is still a good dip for us, right? So we had the 40 out of 70 right now, so it's not terrible, but not the best either, right? So I think ideally, as we break below 81, this is the dip from here. Before I dive into the breakdown, I want to show you guys my hat. Let me just open up my screen a little bit. So take a look at my hat. I just got it yesterday. I went to obviously the MoMA, the Museum of Modern Art in Midtown yesterday. I just took my parents out for the day. I had this really, really nice dinner as well. This new restaurant that just opened up in Chinatown. Man, they have this dish that was so delicious. I've never had anything like this. So they basically, and it's kind of hard to explain conceptually. So basically, what they did is it takes a lot of preparation, right? So it's like fried chicken, but instead of chicken meat, right, they replace it with shrimp meat, right? So imagine you have like a whole fried chicken, right, like one whole chicken, right, and it's fried. And they basically chopped it up, right? It's like they deboned it as well, right? And what they did is basically they took off the skin, the crispy skin of the chicken, right? And they infuse it with the shrimp paste. Like that's basically grind up shrimp. It kind of like have the texture of like a fish balls or like shrimp balls. And they fry the whole thing, deep fried, right? And it came out to be like this delicious, crusty chicken skin with wrapping around like this delicious shrimp paste that is super bouncy, super chewy, and you dip it in this really just absolutely wonderful Thai chili sauce. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. I'm gonna go back again. And we got super lucky because we didn't expect to order something like this, but it was like a recommendation from the owners of the restaurant. And also we're lucky because the dish is you have to reserve or you have to book it ahead of time for them to make it because it takes a lot of preparation. But luckily, one of the customers that ordered it bounced. Right, they never showed up, so we actually got the last one, and it was relatively cheap. Right, the whole chicken with like shrimp and everything, which is like they're not stingy either, was like $40. And it could serve like 6 people, but for me, I could eat a lot. And we just with my dad and my mom, so we ate like a whole chicken basically. I think me probably ate like 60% of the serving, so technically I ate for like 3 people, while my dad and my mom kind of, my dad helped out obviously, but anyways, I'm going off tangent again, and I. But hope you like this hat. I really like. I think the shape is like kind of sets off my outfit a little bit. I typically wear a lot of black and white, like very monotone or gray color. So anyways, so with respect to the, and I want to shrink my face as well. Let me shrink my face real quick. Sorry for going off tangent. So with respect to risk management level, these are the levels to dollar cost average at, and these are again my conservatism, my level of as we deplete to below 35 on an RSI scale. As you can see, we are basically there already with respect to a lot of the coins here, right? Especially for Bitcoin. I recommend my mom to buy a little bit more Bitcoin, and she actually did last night. Yeah, hopefully this is helpful. I'm really happy that you guys all made some gains so far, in the last couple of days. It makes me happy for you guys to make some money, because ultimately investing is the way for us to build true wealth, right? Not working, in a job that exchange your time for money, but really allocating, buying assets that cultivate and appreciate over time, right? Really appreciate you for joining me on a daily basis. I really appreciate your friendship. I really like doing this, and I love you guys. You guys are really like my second family, really. I wish I get to meet all of you guys someday. And feel free to give me a shout if you're in New York sometimes. Yeah, so I'm relatively available. Let me know, and I'm always, with respect to a Patreon, I'm working on it. I want it to be substantive. I want it to be thoughtful. I want it to be, something that I would use, that I would feel comfortable using. I don't want to ever sell something that is just like, oh, because it's like, I want to make money. Obviously, it's good to make money, but it's important that you guys find this useful and eventually learn everything that I know, which I'm still learning anyways. But we all learn together, right? And you guys are teaching me by giving me feedback, so it makes me better, which I appreciate that, right? So enough of my rambling. Really appreciate you for my second video, and your support. And let me see how it goes. And stay tuned for the club. Take care.